Right now, you can survive winter with the push of a button. You turn on the heat, you zip up a jacket, you grab a hot drink, complain that it's freezing outside, and hurry back indoors. It feels completely normal. But what you're doing is solving one of the oldest problems humans have ever faced. Long before cities, before farming, before writing, and even before the pyramids, winter was already testing our ancestors. Every year, the cold returned. Food disappeared. Days grew shorter. Nights became deadly. The question is, how did ancient humans survive it at all? Because for hundreds of thousands of years, they somehow made it through winters that would seem almost impossible today. And the surprising part isn't that they survived, it's how. Let's go all the way back. Around 2 million years ago, our early ancestors mostly lived in Africa, where winters were relatively mild. Then species like Homo erectus began spreading into Eurasia, where cold became a completely different challenge. One of the best places to see this is the site of Dmanisi in modern-day Georgia, where archaeologists found human remains dating back around 1.8 million years. These early humans had left Africa far earlier than scientists once expected. But here's the problem. Nobody thinks they had thick winter coats, or insulated houses, or advanced fire-making, which raises an uncomfortable question. How were they still alive? The answer is, they probably weren't surviving the harshest Ice Age winters yet. These early migrations happened during relatively warmer periods. They followed animals. They stayed where conditions remained manageable. Nature gave them a small advantage. It wouldn't last forever. Over the next million years, Earth's climate became wildly unpredictable. Massive ice sheets expanded across the northern hemisphere again and again. Entire landscapes transformed. Grasslands became frozen plains. Forests disappeared. Temperatures dropped dramatically. Now winter wasn't just inconvenient, it became a survival exam. This is where another human species enters the story: the Neanderthals. For a long time, people imagined Neanderthals as dim-witted cave dwellers who barely scraped by. Turns out, they were incredibly good at winter. Neanderthals lived across Europe for hundreds of thousands of years, often during some of the coldest periods humans have ever experienced. And archaeology keeps revealing just how prepared they were. At sites across modern France, Germany, and Croatia, researchers have found carefully built hearths, controlled fires that weren't random accidents. Fire became the center of daily life. Fire provided warmth, light, protection, cooked food, and a place for families to gather through long winter nights. Think about that. For us, a fireplace feels cozy. For them, it meant tomorrow. But fire alone wasn't enough. You also needed fuel, lots of it. Imagine gathering enough wood not for one evening, but for an entire winter, without chainsaws, trucks, or hardware stores. That means planning months ahead, and planning is something humans became remarkably good at. Evidence from sites like Abric Romani in Spain shows repeated use of organized living spaces, with hearths positioned deliberately and activity areas separated for different tasks. That's not random camping, that's home. Winter forced humans to think ahead, and that may have changed the human brain itself. But staying warm was only half the battle. You still had to eat. Summer gave you berries, plants, birds, fish, and countless opportunities to gather food. Winter took most of that away, so ancient humans adapted. Large Ice Age animals like reindeer, bison, horses, and mammoths became incredibly important. A single mammoth provided meat, fat, hides, bones, and materials for tools and shelter, which explains why archaeologists keep finding enormous animal processing sites. One famous example comes from Dolní Věstonice in the Czech Republic, dating to around 30,000 years ago. Here, ancient people hunted mammoths on a remarkable scale. Thousands of bones have been uncovered. Some were even used to build structures. Imagine walking into a house made partly from mammoth bones. It sounds like fantasy. It was home. Here's what makes this so important. Winter didn't just reward strength, it rewarded cooperation. Everyone had a role: hunting, preparing hides, making tools, caring for children, or passing on hard-earned knowledge. Winter selected for communities, not superheroes. And that's a huge reason humans became so successful.
So here's the full picture. Humans moved into colder climates, mastered fire, clothing, shelter, cooperation, and food storage. Those same survival strategies eventually made farming, permanent homes, and civilization possible. Every time you put on a winter coat, when you stock your pantry before a snowstorm, when you light a fire, make a hot meal, or stay inside with friends while it's freezing outside, you're solving the exact same problem your ancestors faced thousands of generations ago, just with much better central heating. Winter shaped human intelligence. It shaped families. It shaped cooperation. In many ways, it helped shape civilization itself. Because being human has never been about avoiding impossible challenges. It's been about finding new ways to survive them together. If you enjoy exploring the everyday habits that connect us to our ancient ancestors, there are plenty more stories like this to discover.